The winter is coming. I was building these, well, the tower, started building a wall to keep out those night walkers. It's a lot of effort. I mean, it's like, oh, look at all these blocks. Like, took me an hour to bake. It's terrible, terrible. No, of course I didn't do that. I'm going to show you a really useful tool if you're doing world building. Maybe because you're doing a custom map. Maybe you're making a community town or base, and you need a great tool to help make that faster. I use this all the time when I'm making bases for showcasing defensive strategies. If I'm making a guide or tutorial, it's not a survival gameplay tool, but it can be used in survival worlds. 7 Days to Die is a sandbox game. If you wanted to delete a hill or a mountain because you wanted to build something, well, maybe you just want to do that without spending a week or something in game. But you could do that, 100% survival and do it block by block, or maybe you just want that flat area so you can actually get on with building your base. Up to you, your game. So first of all, I'm going to show you how I did this using the level tool, which is really simple. Then I'm going to show you how to enable this in-game, which requires a very simple XML edit. The functionality exists in the base game, but due to a peculiar design choice, the fun pimps have decided to hide it from admins in the game, unless you unlock it in the XML. Maybe they think that people who are admins who use creative tools can't handle it, and thus they don't allow it, but it's really weird. But before we go into that, do give the video a thumbs up and a like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. That really does help me out. So first off, I'm flying around because otherwise I'm going to get attacked by all this nasty stuff on the ground. So if you go into debug, let me show you how to do that from the beginning. Now I'm not in debug mode anymore, so I hit escape. This is what I see. If you hit F1 and type DM, you end up seeing debug mode on. So now if I hit escape, you'll see I have additional options here, and it's up here on the right side. We see we have debug tools, but we don't have any level tools. So you have the basic stuff, you want to fly, god mode, all those things, but there's no way to do anything beyond that. After the XML edit, well, give me a moment, I'll do that and I'll come back into the game. And I'm coming back here into the game and I'm being attacked. Hold on, let me go into debug mode, again F1 and DM, and I'm going to hit Q, so I'm in god mode. This is why I try to be in god mode sometimes. Anyway, it took me 5 seconds to enable it. It actually takes a lot longer to restart the game. But if I hit escape now, you'll see I have this one enabled. Level tools, which has a bunch of things you could do if you wanted to play around with it. Well, we're going to focus on these here with clear selection, fill selection, randomly decorate selection. And so what you do here, let's see, we hit Z. Z, it marks the first spot. Second Z marks the other end. So if I want to shift it around, I can do that. I can just keep on moving it around. If I want to make it higher, I can, of course, just click on something. You can't just click on the sky. It doesn't do anything. But I want to do up there. I could, assuming I'm a little bit closer, maybe. Am I too far away? No, I can do that. But let's make a small area here. Let's do something like this. If you want to clear the selection, just hit backspace. And that's what I'm going to do that. But let's do this. And then you go back into escape and you have these things. Now, unfortunately, clear selection, fill selection is things that they have disabled anyway. I'm sure there's a way to enable it somewhere in the XML, but we're going to focus on the randomly decorate selection because that's the one that is working right now. We could actually use some of these previously. I don't know why they still have disabled them. It just makes it inconvenient, but what it says is fill a random 10% of the selection with a currently active block in the tool belt, meaning that if you have nothing, it's going to delete it. If you have something, it's going to put that in. So we're going to click once, twice. I'm just going to keep clicking until it's filled up. And you might have to click a bunch of time and eventually it's going to fill up. Then I escape out and you see it's there, right? Oh, he destroyed that wall. Oh, I guess that's why the northern wall has to be thicker than just one block. Anyway. So that's how it looks here. If I then go back and I do, let me shift to where I have nothing in the hand, do the same thing, escape, go in, and I randomly decorate. I'm basically placing an air block. You see how it's slowly vanishing, and now it's all gone. Pretty simple, right? So if we want to make this one thicker, let's select here. Actually, let's do the backspace actually. So let's see if we can get this edge here to there. Then we do there. You see, now we have a selection that makes it basically thicker. And then you, again, escape, randomly decorate selection. You see it's basically filling up. And we keep doing that until it's entirely filled, which can take a little bit of time because, again, it's random. You want to get most of the blocks, or at least all that you can normally see. You see there's a few more left. You might have to move around a little bit to see more. However, I escaped out and everything's falling down. What the hell is happening? Well, the game is a little bit peculiar. When you normally are placing, if I place a block here, and I place one here, and I place one here, and I place one here, the game is basically recalculating the stability every time you place something down. What happened here is that basically I placed everything in one go, then I restarted the game, kept it running, and the game has all these blocks within this volume that it has to see whether it's gonna actually be stable or not. And it doesn't do it from the ground up. So it'll take, I guess, a random blocks, or whichever order was placed. I'm not really sure. That's really an internal thing. And it'll calculate. So it'll take, let's say, this block and go like, well, this one is not stable because the one below hasn't been calculated as stable. So they start falling. So you get all this really, really weird pattern, right? Which you normally don't want to have. And what you could do, you could just keep doing this because eventually it's all going to end up stable. And so this time it was like, okay, fine. It's all stable because we've recalculated. It's a little bit inconvenient. So what you can do instead, and this is a tip for when you're doing that, is let's make that even, let's make the tower a little bit wider then. Let's do there, and let's do there. So now we have this extra. You see? Now, if I just placed it, the same thing is going to happen as this one. Some of them are going to fall, some of them are going to stay. You can go into your debug tool here and you turn up physics. What that means is that there's not going to be any stability calculations. And then randomly decorate. I place everything here. You see everything is being built up, and it's built up of snow, so it doesn't have a lot of SI capabilities. And I think that's probably it. I've escaped out. Oh, I didn't make it. I can fix that later on. There's no calculation of SI right now. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell active, and you see it's working fine because I disabled the physics. I let the game run a little bit. The game was like, yeah, I calculated everything. Everything is good. Then I re-enable it and there's nothing that's going to fall because it's all been deemed stable. So that can save you a lot of headaches when you're doing this, because it's not just, if I was doing the same thing, let's say I do a concrete block and I do that, I cancel that, do like so, and then I go in, we have physics active. I randomly do this. It looks like everything is stable, right? And it might be, or it might not be. In this case, it was not necessarily all stable. So it doesn't matter the material. It's just simply, oh, and now this one has decided that it's going to start falling. Oh, no. Didn't I place it all the way down? I guess I did not. And now everything is falling down. Isn't that wonderful? So if you're having issues with that, what you could do, again, just physics active, turn it off. You see nothing is... well, it's still falling because it's in the progress of falling down. This one I've already placed, so I'm going to do this here. No, stop it. We're going to do this. We're going to change to this. We're going to do this. We have this cube, and we're going to let it fall down, which is all right. And then we're going to basically make sure we disable the physics. And I'm going to randomly decorate it all. Just keep decorating it. And one thing you notice, it looks like this area has not been filled out. It actually has. If I move over here, it will be. It's simply because of how you're looking at it. Okay, so that part was all still falling within. Let's do that. These were some areas within that was still collapsing as I was building it up again. That's all right. Let's do that. Let a little bit of time go so that it actually empties out. And right, I think this should be all. Now it's not entirely solid. We can keep on doing that. Fill them all up. And we have a few more inside that. Let me just place them manually. Right, so now because I'm flying inside, I can tell. And we're going to do go back here. Going to recalculate stability. That basically tries to force the game into recalculating everything. Let it go a little bit, and then we turn on the physics. And it should all be fine, right? And then if we go back, let's see if we collapse a little bit here. Yeah, everything is still going to be stable. Everything is working just fine. Nothing is falling down. So depending on what happens, you might have to disable the physics. You might have to force it to recalculate stability just to make sure that all the blocks have really been calculated so you don't have any weird collapses. It's simply because of how the game traverses through the blocks and which order it decides whether it's going to be falling or whether it's going to be stable. So now that we know how it actually works in game, how do you actually enable it? Well, you go to your Steam, right click on your game, hit properties, you want to go to local files, you want to go to browse. That brings up the actual folder that the game is installed. You want to go to data, you want to go to config, you want to go to XUI, and the file we're looking at is windows.xml. I recommend that you take a backup before, so you have an original one, and after, so you have one with the toolbox, or rather level tool enabled. But you basically take this one, windows.xml, and edit it. That brings you to this file. Now, right now in alpha 20.0, meaning the first stable release, it's on line 3888. Oh, that's a lucky number. Every time there's a version update, this one is likely to change a little bit because the file itself is being changed. You can always just search for level tools. That's usually how you find it. Now, if you're looking here, it's I've removed that thingy. This is how it looks when it's original. It has this visible equals edit mode, and that's the part that you want to remove, because if this is there, you can't actually see it within the game because it's not an edit mode because you're in the survival game. So we basically just take it, delete it, save it. That's it. Start up the game, and we're back to this. Now we have access to the level tool that we can then use. So what I normally do, let's say you want to make a little bit of a wall, you just give the starting point because you need to have one height one if that's what you want to do. Do Z. Nope, not that Z. Want to do this Z. No, this Z. And you have a little bit of a wall here. Escape. Gonna turn off, make sure physics is inactive. I'm gonna go in here, randomly decorate, and then it's putting all these just as many times as you need. Just click, click, click until your finger hurts. No, not until finger hurts. Until they're all being selected. And then we're gonna go out. No, it missed that one. Let's keep doing it, and now it's done. Right? And then we're gonna hit recalculate stability, just so that it has a chance to recalculate everything. And then after a moment, and it might take a little bit longer depending on how big the build is, and then we're going to enable physics, and it should be working very well. It's a super easy way of using it. And again, if you wanted to hollow out an area, let's say I wanted to remove part of this hill, do this to here, and then keeping in mind I'm holding nothing in my hand, then we go in and randomly decorate. It basically places an air block there, which basically means going to be nothing there. Keep clicking, keep clicking, keep clicking, and eventually it's going to be done. We're going to come back here, and if there's anything else that might fall down, but at least now you see I've basically cleared out an area that I can build my base. And let's say I wanted to have my base here. Now I can start filling in my base walls, or I could, if I want to do it simpler, I do something like that, and again just put things in myself. That works as well. That saves me all that effort of putting all these blocks in. The larger the build that you're having, the better it is, because it means that you don't have to worry about it. Right there we have one of the side walls at least. So I do wish that the FunPimps would re-enable clear selection and fill selection. I mean, you can do them anyway, just that you have to do it 10% at a time, which is a little bit inconvenient. Again, FunPimps, just enable it for us. We're not going to get confused. We know what they do because you have to actively go into the menu and actually use them. And you should only do that if you want to find out how they work or you know how they work. So I don't see any reason not to enable it. But either way, that's how you enable and use this super useful level tool to start that epic building. See you next time.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the Vedui community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.